I may receive a bit of hate here, but let's run through 3 popular sports card investments or players that I would never buy. What's going on, guys? Matt here, back again with another video. Now, I do want to start off by saying, as much as this video is spreading negativity, I respect each of these 3 players and I don't want to seem like an armchair expert or keyboard warrior, but it was a very interesting topic for me to think about. And of course, it's easy for me to pick a player who may have been a draft bust or simply has played minimal games, but I wanted to challenge myself today and pick 3 players I feel like people gravitate towards for an investment. There are a range of reasons why I've picked these players, and some of it has to do with their likability or maybe the fact that I don't think their ceiling is as high as other people. Prospecting and investing is a subjective topic at the end of the day, so don't go selling all of your cards if I do mention any of the players that you PC or invest in. Before I start, make sure you do hit the like and subscribe button down below and let me know which player you wouldn't invest in and why. Let's start off with the most accomplished player here, and one that has caused a lot of divide between his fans and haters this season in Russell Westbrook. Westbrook has come off his worst statistical season since his early playing years, and it's a big drop from the former MVP, 2-time scoring champ and 3-time assists leader. He was even named to the NBA top 75 players list that they released last season, further highlighting his impact on the game. But I do feel like the change in the play style of the NBA has gone past Westbrook, and unfortunately he was definitely exposed this season. When the Westbrook trade to the Lakers happened, a lot of Laker fans were extremely happy, but I am on record about saying that I wasn't a fan and thought Buddy Hield would be a better fit considering what they gave up to get him. If you just think about it, LeBron is a high usage player and Westbrook has always been one too, so to think that Westbrook would suddenly change his game style and play off ball straight away was a little bit far-fetched. It got so bad to a point this season where the former Lakers coach Frank Vogel was starting to bench Westbrook in the key moments thanks to his poor decision making and the lack of spacing he provides when he's on the floor. Even if the Lakers made the playoffs, they wouldn't have been that hard to defend. I essentially would have had a guy at the free throw line against Westbrook defending him, daring him to shoot. And really, when you're a 30% three-point shooter with little improvement throughout your career, it's not a bad strategy. Westbrook's also getting to an age where his athleticism is starting to decline, and unfortunately, that plays a massive part in his career. As we know, peak Westbrook was a menace when he was driving into the paint. Not having that explosiveness going to the rim over his declining years will lead to him becoming more of a shooter, and I don't think he has a game that will age well in time. He's also very outspoken in the public, with a lot of the fans and media not liking him, so it adds to the lack of people potentially not investing in him. It's sort of like James Harden in that both of them will go down as all-time greats with amazing accomplishments, but fans will always be put off at them because of their personality and play styles, and it's why you don't see people rushing to invest in a player like Harden. Westbrook has also been relatively stubborn in playing a reduced role, and I'm confident that he won't win a title being in the top 3 best players on any team. I always see people talk about his statistics on face value, but his shooting percentages and turnover amounts have the advanced statistics not liking him as a player. 538.com released a yearly projection of each NBA player and what they rank them using advanced statistics. Now for Russell Westbrook, they project him as a dubious starter, which if you understand 538's system is a massive call. I can see why people invested in him in that he was relatively likable at OKC once KD left, but since then, his game has declined and the league has gone past him, so I'm not a massive fan. Let's move to a young player that I've seen a lot of people pumping up, and that's Colin Sexton from the Cleveland Cavaliers. It may seem like I'm clowning on another player having a down season thanks to his shortened year, thanks to his meniscus tear, but I've never really been a fan of Sexton throughout his years. He is only 23 years old, and last season he was a borderline all-star, scoring 24 points a game, being relatively efficient as well. The Cavaliers that season finished with 22 wins and 50 losses, so I think his stats were a little bit inflated, having such a bad team, and he was also one of the highest usage players in the league. Another part of it is that I think the Cavaliers are better off with Darius Garland handling the majority of the ball versus Sexton, and I think Garland's ceiling is much higher than Sexton's. I think Sexton is better slated coming off the bench, but with his pricing at times previously, it does seem that people project that he's going to be one of the top scoring guards in the league. I've been of the opinion since the preseason last year that the Cavaliers should trade Sexton, and actually we had a great opportunity to see this season what the Cavs look like without him. They actually fared quite well without Sexton, going 31 wins and 23 losses before going 6-11 in the final 17 games. Now, I'd attribute that poor finishing run thanks to the injuries to Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, which did ruin the 7-foot lineup along with Larry Marketing. That was working well for them. Sexton will be a restricted free agent at the end of this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go, considering he may command a high contract, which I don't think he's worth. The Cavaliers worked very well with a guard lineup consisting of Garland, Ricky Rubio, and Rajon Rondo, so I'm hoping they continue that next season if Rubio does stay after his ACL injury. I fear eventually teams will realize he's a black hole on the offense and put him as a sixth man, and then as an investor you will lose money because you buy into him being a star player over a sixth man. He's also regarded as one of the worst defenders in the league, so if you're a GM planning a team, knowing that he does command a lot of the ball and doesn't defend well, it does make you think twice. I'm just under the firm belief that having Sexton as your first or second option won't get you with a championship, and if you're wanting to invest in someone over the next 10 years, that sort of stuff does matter, and I think he will come down with time. Lastly, a player who also receives a ton of hype. He's been an all-star and also was a high draft pick in his draft class, and that's Deangelo Russell from the Minnesota Timberwolves. So D'Lo makes it 3 for 3 guards in my players I'm not investing in list, and I know people say that big men are less desirable to invest in, but I also feel that guards are much more replaceable because let's face it, statistically, there are less big men in the world than guards, so you'd assume that they are easier to find. D'Lo has just come off a disappointing playoff series, averaging 12 points and 7 assists on an abysmal 33% shooting, which is a massive drop-off from his 18-point average during the regular season. If you watch that playoff series, you've probably identified that Anthony Edwards is the star of that team, and D'Lo is hindering his development as he's such a ball-dominant player. One of the struggles I've had with D'Lo is that he's sort of similar to Russell Westbrook in that he's relatively inefficient for how much he shoots. He's maintained a field goal percentage in the low 40s throughout his career, and his three-point shot isn't as bad as Westbrook's, but it isn't amazing either. Even 538.com projects him as a rotation player, which is a far cry from the all-star many project him to be. And like Sexton, he's not a great defender, and it did lead to the Timberwolves giving up 3 double-digit leads in the fourth quarter during that Grizzlies series. I think the Timberwolves have slowly started to identify this, and it looks like they will shop him this offseason. And it says a lot when in the key moments of an elimination game, they chose to play their undrafted guard, Jordan Mclaughlin, instead of D'Lo. Mclaughlin just provided a safe bet at the point guard spot for the Timberwolves offensively and defensively, even though they lost. And really, gone are the days that D'Lo took that abysmal Brooklyn team into the playoffs, and I think he's much easier to defend now since his game requires him having a lot of the ball. Much better guards, in my opinion, to be investing in considering his price long term. Now, I'm not against investing in these players in the short term, but like I said, I'm probably trying to be avoiding these guys in the long term. But yeah, that is it for today's video. A very interesting topic that we went through. So do let me know in the comments what you guys think. And yeah, I'll see you guys all in future videos. Take care.